Yes.
It's another South African football show, and we're going to be discussing the precocious talent Mofokeng of South Africa, who recently made his debut for the Bafana. I'm with Mustafa and Warif. You guys are welcome to the show.
Welcome. I think this is the second season in Pirates, right? I think it's the second.
Yes, it's the second season in Orlando Pirates.
He's a young, precocious talent, very swift, very light, quick. He can pass, but he's also good on the break. They said that even last year they were already talking about sending him to Europe, but Bruce convinced him that he needs to get more experience in South Africa before he goes to Europe. And Bruce also said that even now, teams, like they said, Barcelona is even looking at him. You know, teams in Europe are looking at him. If teams are looking at him when he hasn't had super accomplishments yet, even though he's a player of the year, he hasn't reached, he's precocious. That means that they've identified that this guy is a super.
Yes, he has the potentials of going far.
Before we go to Europe, probably my view is that it's better for him, if he goes to Europe, to go to a smaller league.
Yes.
Like Belgium.
Or smaller clubs.
Or Division 2 in Europe to start off with. But I don't know how teams like Barcelona do, because if they take you, they'll just put you in their junior team.
Academy,
If I were him, if I were Bruce, I would try to make a deal with teams in Belgium and stuff to develop these guys. There's no need for him to go to Barcelona because he'll never start for Barcelona. Barcelona just like to, and Spanish league, they like to take these players, develop them, then they never go forward. If I were him, I would start off in a Belgium or Turkey or somewhere like that, if he can find his way there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I quite agree with you, because there's no point going to Europe to warm the bench of some big team. And I think he's ready at 21. He scored his debut goal for Bafana against Zimbabwe.
Lesotho, wasn't it Lesotho?
Lesotho, yes, it was against Lesotho. So I think he's ready. But the problem is that, like you rightly mentioned, it would be better for him to join some team in the lower, football leagues where he can play regularly. If he goes to Barcelona now,
showcase more of himself.
Yeah, he won't get the opportunity to play if he goes to Barcelona now. But then again, Barcelona has this kind of relationship with some smaller clubs. They can buy him, then loan him to a smaller club, and then monitor his progress. And then
he'll get good training in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah, then depending on his progress, they might decide to take him maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, or outright selling him off. But I think his talent is too good for the South African league. And he's a very good player. He dribbles very well. He's fast. I've seen him shoot from outside the box 18 too. So he can shoot very well. He's good with both feet as well. Yeah. I think he's a very technical player.
He's a left winger, but he can also sometimes fill in the blanks in midfield. And that's important for South Africa's senior team, being able to have these flexible guys that you can't just be defined as one player. And I think going to Europe can broaden his game, but as Bruce said, he should be very careful. What are your thoughts, Warif?
First of all, let me start with the club that he wants to go to. Like you rightly said, going to Barcelona right now, I don't think he won't make their first 11 or make the bench of Barcelona. So I think if I might be advising, number one, agent need to look for clubs that are maybe, like you said, in Belgium, France, maybe Sweden, Russia, Germany, all those smaller clubs. Then if he wants to come to maybe England, maybe he can start with Division 1. Or if he wants to play in the Premier League, he can start from maybe like Bournemouth, Fulham. Then these other teams that are that are promoted, but he should be very careful in rushing into playing. If not, he might not really get what he wants. So I think he shouldn't rush into it. He should just calm down and take his time. Maybe have some good agents and scouts that will make sure that any club that is going for it should be in the first 11, and they should be able to develop him.
And I know the South African League is good, but he should make sure that also if he's playing in South Africa, he's in a team, because I know there's some teams that have good trainers like Stellenbosch and co. And I think Pirates, okay, they're a great team, but you don't want to get to the point where even on your team, not developing. So he needs to take his training, and very important for him to get his training to look for developing his skill. I think probably after this year, because he's the player of the year, maybe it's now time for him to go, because the way football it is now, look at Yamal is 17 and already at the top. So he needs to go right now and decide where he's going to get the best training and development for his skills, whether it's in South Africa or Europe. I think it's going to have to be in Europe, to be honest with you. because we don't want him to wait till he's 22, 24. By that time, you're old in football now. What do you think, Falabi?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he can. I feel he can go to Barcelona, actually. Barcelona can loan him to a lesser-known team, maybe Espanyol.
They're showing interest. And if they don't want him, there's other teams that will take him.
Because Barcelona has a very good coaching program. You can see the likes of Yamal, how they've developed. So if Barcelona puts him on a coaching program, they will monitor his progress. And they will begin to look at him. And maybe in a year or two, when he becomes more mature and his frame is stronger and he understands the game is more technical, then they could bring him back. That there have been comparisons between him and Neymar and him and Yamal, that he has a similar style of play. He fancies dribbling a lot and is quite quick. He has a very low center of gravity, so he's very, very fast with the ball. So I think if he goes to somewhere like Barcelona loans him out for a season and then monitors his progress and then take him back. I think it's not a stretch to think that in a few years' time he might be in the Barcelona first team. Really.
If I may come in, if it was during the time of as when Arsene Wenger was in Arsenal, at least Arsene Wenger, he believes in young coming, young coming players. He watches you and he says, if you're good, at least you can start from maybe under 23 or under 18, depending on your age range. And with that, you begin to do. He's not scared at them. Arsene Wenger is not scared of using in Arsenal people like Wilshere, Fabregas. They start playing in Champions League from the age of 18. 16 years, just like Yamal. So if he can, like Mr. Falabi said, if he can go to Barcelona and they see that he's making more progress there and there's a need for them to bring him back to the senior team, he might at least start from the bench. But
and he has made his debut for Bafana, so he will become more visible as he plays more games for Bafana.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also
a plus for South African.
It's very good too. But right now it's clear he's basically a raw talent. Coming in at 19, starting off, he's a raw talent. So even playing for Bafana, he's still, when you're playing these matches, you're already expected that you already have skills. So it's not that playing for Bafana is going to develop his skills more. You already polished. What playing for Bafana is just to get to know the players and how to interact with them. But he's still, at his age now, he still needs, I think the exposure will be good for him. And it's becoming clear also that now Bruce has admitted that now that South Africa's reaching the limelight like this, they won the under-24 AFCON, he knows that inevitably players have to go. He's just saying they have to be careful and choose teams because there's no point in going and you sit on the bench, then you won't play for South Africa. You won't play for Bafana. So it's a very delicate balance. What South Africa's going to have to start doing soon, which is going to bring tension in their league, is they're going to have to start identifying guys even in secondary school, 17 years old, 18, and send them even before they play in the South African league. But the Bafana people, the Bafana fans would rather lose internationally and see their guys playing in their league. I'm not dissing them. That's how they are.
Yes. They believe in their league.
They believe in their league. If you said, okay, I would rather a Pirates fan would rather see Pirates win than see South Africa make it to the quarterfinals of World Cup if it means that their team will lose. You understand? But they have to learn. You have to let it go. They're going to have to send players, but they're going to have a good mix. And then when players get older, at a certain age, like 30, then they come back to the domestic league. So they have to find the right balance of sending players and keeping players. But I think the problem is that they're so loyal to their league that it causes issues. What do you think, Afolabi?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's important for football players to be exposed, basically, because the way the game is played in other countries is different from the South African League. And when teams come together in the World Cup, you meet players of different quality. If you have like 3 or 4 or 5 players that have played in a certain part of the world, they bring the quality to the South African team, and then it's easier for them to cope with some of these stars and the talents that are in other countries, so it's good for exposure to see the level of technicality in other leagues. It's important, not just playing your local league, especially when you want to go to the World Cup and stuff like that. You're going to be playing with players from Europe and stuff. So I think it's important for them to encourage more talent like this Mofokeng to go to Europe and get their exposure, and then it can begin to rub off on South African football on the long run.
Yeah, and so I think, what is it? He scored 12 goals, 15 assists, or is it 15 assists?
12 goals, 15 assists in about 49 games.
49 games, right? Yeah, yes. Overall. So his numbers are good, and he's balanced. It's not like he's
yeah,
a super
very good. His numbers are very good.
And
again, one other thing, in signing for any European club, he shouldn't rush because the club, they might see that he's desperate of coming to Europe, and with that, they might want to take advantage of him. So the agent, if you go to Europe, the agent has a lot of work to do. Let them not take advantage of
money
him.
shouldn't be.
What? Yes. What they might sign him might be more than what he's worth, but because of they might look at it that this one is still a young chap. Because it's not about being, it's what you can offer and what you are. So I think he shouldn't just rush into it. If not, they might take advantage of him.
Yeah, so he needs to be very, very careful, definitely. And let's talk in general. So this is an issue, like we said, South Africa. I know a lot of our fans who are from South Africa say, fuck international football. We don't like Europeans. And this is because of racism. This is because of apartheid, in which white people say that they're the best in the world. And so I understand why South Africans are like this. They have an anti-imperialistic mentality. But we have to remember, football is a world sport, and you got to go to where the money is. The reason the European leagues are the best is not because of Europeans. It's because that's where everybody, whether they're from Nigeria, whether they're from Brazil, whether they're from Congo, everybody in the world goes to play in Europe because that's where the money for football is. So going there for the European, let's just face it, the European football is the best in the world. Even if Brazil wins World Cup, we know that when we say European football, we don't mean the way the Europeans play. We mean the European leagues. Yeah. But the European leagues are made up of international players.
Yeah, sure.
They're made up of international.
You see what Mr. Mustafa just said right now is what Saudi Arabia are trying to do. They are trying to cripple European football by using money. But football politics, international football politics, Europeans will not want that. They will make sure Saudi Arabia does not cripple, because everybody knows that the center of football and excitement is in Europe, mostly in England. So they are using money to entice the best players to come to Europe. But money cannot just do everything in football.
Yeah, not money. And so there has to be a balance. But I think no matter what anybody says, the biggest football tournament in the world is the World Cup.
Yeah.
So South Africa, whether they like their league or not, obviously they want to do well in the World Cup. To do well in the World Cup, you have to have some players who have been exposed to the world game. Yeah, I'm not going to say the European game, to the world game. And that means they have to play in where all the best players in the world play. If South Africa's league is that good, if their style of play is that good, they should go to Europe and show the Europeans how good they are. I'm serious. I'm not being funny. I'm not even being sarcastic. You like your style of football? Okay, let's go. Send Mofokeng to Europe and let's see what he can do. We saw what this guy did. Pina did. We saw who was the other guy. Those guys were fantastic.
Those good old days, we had the likes of Lucas Radebe, Mark Fish, Dr. Kumalo. All of them played in Europe, and they made the South African team actually better when they came home to play in the World Cup for South Africa.
They contributed to their national
exposure is really very key. Exposure in Europe.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a good one. Last starts Mr. Warib. I've been remembering all the South African names. I'm forgetting you guys' names now.
What I would say is that he shouldn't rush into moving to Europe. He should take his time, like what the national team would. He should take his time, think through it over and over and again. Know the club where to go to. Then South Africa, they should try, like what you said, they should try and get more of some of their players playing in the World League, so that when they get to the World Cup, they can have the exposure, not just about their leagues. Their leagues is okay, but you should try and have some other players playing in Spain, Germany, England, Russia, Brazil, just mixture of players so that they can break forth from their limits. Because right now they are limited in their league alone.
Yeah. And also, before I go to our follow-up, our fans from Bafana, even though we're from Nigeria, you guys are the number one fans on our show, getting thousands of views. So keep on watching, keep on talking, say thank you to us or say hate us. We don't care. We love you guys. Keep it coming.
We love South Africans football.
Yeah, we love the support that we're getting. It's fantastic. Okay, take us out, Afolabi.
Okay, I feel on a final note, I think Barcelona will get him, and they will find a team that plays 4-3-3 as well, because they notice that he's comfortable in that kind of system. And apart from playing from the left, he can play across the front three. So I believe Barcelona will get him and loan him to a team that plays a similar style, and then they'll monitor his progress. And it's on that note that we're going to round up our show for South African football today. From Mustafa, Warif, and myself, we'll be back next time.
All right, guys. Nice one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.